I threatened to send my dad to jail and now my narcissistic relatives refuses to speak to me. My dad, 40M, had me 14F and my older brother 16M at a young age and we were super close until I turned 5 and my mom had my twin siblings. Ever since my dad started acting distant and started smoking, taking meds, arguing a lot etc. I never really noticed since I was still a kid but on my 7th birthday it all started making sense after he got mad at my mom for buying a so-called expensive cake and they argued in front of the entire restaurant and ever since then I started noticing a change in their relationship but I always acted like it doesn't bother me so I won't hurt my mother. He kept getting worse over the years and I just couldn't pretend not to care anymore and I can't lie and say I wasn't a bad daughter. I started avoiding him whenever I could, never spoke to him unless I needed something urgent etc. and it just went on like that. It's not like he cared or anything. Hess unbothered by me and my siblings and I want to add that he cheated on my mom multiple times and I caught him and so we just got distant and I was disgusted by him so we barely interacted with each other and people never noticed because he always had to make sure people don't talk about him and to keep his reputation clean. My mom on the other hand he didn't allow her to work and she was foreign so she couldn't work or drive without his permission and she didn't have any source of income so we all struggled and my dad was always unbothered but a month ago it was the first day of Ramadan and my mom wanted him to feel welcome and at home since he just came back from a work trip and before we could break our fast he got mad at her cause she forgot to fill up his water and threw the bottle on her in front of all 5 of her kids. She cried but tried to hide it and I got really pissed but tried to calm down and not ruin our breakfast and it just slid like that but he was drinking soup with my little brother and told me to come and feed him. Mind you I was super busy everyone was calling me to help them with something and I told him to wait a second and that I'll be back to help him in a minute he yelled and got so aggressive and threw the hot and hard soup plate on my head. I started bleeding and ran to the maid's room and cried while listening to my parents argue for about 40 minutes. The maid came and told me to wash my face and get dressed to go to the hospital and I could barely move I was super dizzy and my face was swollen and bleeding like crazy. My dad tried to kick my mom out of the house and send her back to her family an 11-hour car ride he also tried to hit her but she hit back and rushed me to the hospital and there was no one to drive us and since my mom couldn't drive we had to go with my uncle. I was silent the entire time while he tried to calm my mom down after she said she's divorcing my dad and reporting him. He knows everyone there and nothing will happen to him if she actually reports him. And I got so angry I yelled at my uncle and told him that if my mom doesn't report him then I will. And everyone went silent and I got out of the car and walked to the emergency section. I felt death walking behind me while I was rushing to the hospital while my uncle tried to get me to come inside the car but I refused and was so mad. When we got to the hospital my mom lied to the doctors and told them my little brother hit me. And ever since that day I haven't said a word or looked at my so-called father or his crazy narcissistic family. What should I do?